Welcome back, boys and girls, to episode 39 of the Nerd Chills podcast. This is Adam Diaz, and with me, as usual, is CJ. Welcome back, CJ.
Hi, everybody.
Everybody can't say hi back, but on behalf of them, hi.
They all say hi wherever they're at listening. They all just go, hi, CJ.
They're all staring at the radios or podcasting devices that they listen through, and they're like, this guy's fucking crazy.
Probably.
Sitting in the third chair this week, as always, is Charlie. Welcome back, Charlie.
Hello.
Hello. And sitting in the fourth chair, making her triumphant return, is Robin Grace. Welcome back, Robin.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good.
I'm glad you're good. It's good that you're good.
Yep.
So we have a wonderful episode 39 lined up for you guys. Main topic this week, we're going to talk about boss battles, our favorite, the hardest, maybe the easiest, maybe the shittiest, and then we're going to see if Charlie has any, because she was really struggling to find some this week. We're also going to read yours. You guys were nice enough to reach out to us via Facebook and Twitters and Discord, so we'll definitely give you guys credit for yours. But first and foremost, Charlie, how was SNES Classic launch?
It was less stressful than I thought it would be. A part of it is because I've just decided to make it less stressful. Some people might not appreciate my tactics to, like, not want to harm myself.
Did you lock the store and set it on fire?
No, although I could have. No, basically I just I've gotten a lot more relaxed about things. Like, I don't worry as much about... I'm resolved in the fact that some people are going to end up upset. There's never going to be enough of these things. People are going to be asking me all day. And if you just accept those simple life facts and know that there is no hope, then you'll be okay.
This sounds like that book, The Secret. I think that was what The Secret was. There is no hope. Somebody suggested to me, like, checking IDs to see if people are sharing a household. And I totally get that. Like, if you're obviously married or, like, your son and you both buying one, I think that's fucked up. But ultimately, I was just like, man, I don't care enough for that. Right.
Like, if they feign not knowing each other well enough, I'm just like, whatever, who cares? Because
and
like
even
I said,
then
there's never going to be enough.
Even then, it's like one per
Yeah, that's
customer,
way
but not
too
one
far.
per household. Like,
Yeah.
like if I bought one and my dad was like, I was living with my dad still, and we both went in there for like my room and his room, like, I'd be like, fuck off. Like, I am never playing his SNES Classic.
Yeah.
That's just mine.
I mean,
Yeah.
I get it that you might have, like, or roommates, you know, like,
Right.
if you live with someone who's not your relative, you'd have the same address. I don't know. I was just like, we're not doing that. Like, ain't nobody got time for that. I don't care.
You made
It's
the right
cool.
decision.
Yeah, that just seems way too crazy. Like, I understand they're going to be super limited, but holy crap.
I don't know. I kind of get it, though, because I've had people for Amiibos in the past, like, oh, I'm buying a set, and so is my little brother, and they're both, like, 15. I'm like, you really need 2 sets of Amiibos? Like, what is wrong with you? And I think that
What you need is a girlfriend. Get the fuck out of my store.
we have people that all the time, like, I had a guy today buy 2 sets of Star Wars figurines because he was like, one I open and display, and the other one's, like, a collectible, or,
Right.
like, to resell, probably. So, I mean, we try and limit it as much as possible, but I was just like, it's not going to be a big deal.
Deep
Let's-
breaths.
Let's just make it
We're,
a normal day.
We're glad you made it through. So,
Yep,
thank you
I'm
for being here with us.
Happy to be here to tell a tale.
All right. Going back to the normal stuff, we'll go with CJ. What have you been playing this week, bro?
Not too much. I've had to work a whole bunch because it's been rough there. I've been setting up a lot of this D&D campaign that we start next week. But when I
am
can play some
so
games,
excited for it.
I'm playing a bunch of squad games of PlayerUnknown's. I've also tried out the what's it called?
Fortnite.
Battle Royale mode from Fortnite, which is alright. It's just super clunky. Like, I don't think the game moves smooth enough to have combat like that, but everyone else seems to love it, so what do I know, I guess? That's pretty much it. That's what I've been playing.
Right on. Not a whole lot, but good stuff. I was wondering if anyone had tried out Fortnite stuff yet. That's free, right? It's completely free? Like, you don't even
Completely
have to own
free.
the game? It's kind of
Wait,
awesome.
you don't have to own the game?
I could have sworn I heard someone say that on the podcast this week, where it's like it's downloadable for people that don't own the game, but you can only play that mode
What would be the point?
to get people to buy the full mode.
I think for like a week or two it's that way, but I think you have to own the game eventually.
I think that would make sense. I
like
don't know.
free play weekend or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to check that,
But they still owe me a code because my code got messed up and they never emailed me a new one, so
That is fucked up.
Fuck those people.
I agree. That's what PUBG is saying right now too. So
Yeah, exactly.
stuff. Charlie, when you're not pulling your hair out because of SNES Classic launch, what have you been playing this week?
The only thing I really played this week was Cuphead. I put in my code and played Cuphead yesterday, and it was super fun. It was super difficult. Not gonna lie, I think I accomplished at the height of my performance while playing Cuphead. I got to about 85 to 90% through the first level.
Jesus.
After I literally played that level like 30 times. It's
Wow.
really hard.
Yeah, I've heard
like-
from multiple people that it's extremely, extremely difficult.
And
one of
it's
those things where you
even got a challenge mode in it too.
Some of the levels have a difficulty too, like not the main levels, but the like there are little like random battles all over the place, and those have like simple or difficult mode. But yeah, it's challenging. It's one of those things where you have to like memorize things, and it's gonna take some time.
Right on.
But I really like it. It's cute and everything.
Good. That's awesome. Robin, what have you been playing this week?
I've gone back to playing Fallout 4 again,
Nice.
and that's pretty much it.
It's funny because I was
and
watching
Lost of Catan.
lots of Catan.
Oh yeah, we did play Catan.
Yeah.
And I played that Catan card game.
That's right. You played the one. Is it on your phone or?
No, it's a physical game. It's just a 2-player version of Catan that's card based.
Okay.
And yes, if you guys are out there and you're like, are you talking about Settlers of Catan? Yes, they took the Settlers of part off of it. Now
Only
it's just
the
called
nerds
Catan.
call it Settlers of.
Well, that's what I call it. So I guess I'm a
I
nerd.
call it that too.
Nerd.
I kept calling it Settlers, and then I looked at the box, and it
Just
says
says Catan.
I
Yeah.
was like, fuck.
That's so funny. Right on. As for myself, yeah, we had a friend out. We had Nick, who was previously on the anime episode that came out for a
Woo.
weekend. It was really just a couple days. And he was like, let's get drunk and play board games. And I'm like,
It was
this is
so
why.
nice.
I was like, this is why you're my best friend. You don't want to go to the Strip. You don't want to go to fucking Fremont Street. Those places suck. So we just drank beer and bought Settlers of Catan, which he's been trying to get me to play for years. And it's awesome. We already bought 2 expansion packs for it. We have played a fuck ton. It is so much fun. Aside from that, I actually played a ton of Mario Kart this week for some reason. I guess because Robin had a ton of homework, so I was like, I guess I'm by myself, and I don't know how to live by myself anymore. So I just went in the bedroom and took my Switch in there and played a bunch of Mario Kart, and I was playing 150cc and trying to get 6 stars. I didn't realize like you after every race you can put stars into like this pool. It's kind of weird, but it unlocks better stuff for you. So I played a shit ton of that. But aside from that, I really haven't had much time. I did beat Shadows of Mordor last weekend after we recorded. The ending sucks. Storyline wise, it's kind of cool, but there's like no penultimate boss. And I was just like, this kind of fits in with our topic this week. But it was more like a quick time event, which really annoyed me because it's like I just developed the fuck out of this character and put in all these hours so that I could just like roll through the storyline and get to the final boss, be super powered up. And there's like 2 final bosses, and both of them don't make any use of combat, like almost at all. So I was very disappointed in that, but now everything is cleared so that I can start Horizon Zero Dawn. Yay! So that's what I plan on doing.
Doubt it.
Aside from that, let's move into what we've been watching in reverse order. I've been watching Heartland behind Robin's back.
No, you haven't.
No, I haven't. But I've been watching in the background since it's on almost every TV that's on in this household. It's absolutely crazy.
Sorry.
Yeah, I've been watching the Bears get the
Sounds
shit
bad.
kicked out of them on Thursday Night Football, which
Oh,
was
man.
pathetic.
Dude, we were talking about game day or like whether we were playing on Sunday. And I told my sister, I was like, well, the Bears are scheduled to lose tonight, so they won't have to worry about watching them lose on Sunday.
Yeah, they play really well at home, is what I've realized. They played really well against the Falcons and almost won. And then they played really well against Pittsburgh and won. And those are 2 really good teams. And then they go on the road and get the shit kicked out of them. But yeah, you guys don't watch football, and if you do, you can go ahead and tweet at me and let me know. I can keep talking about it. But that was pretty painful.
Yeah.
And so I think I've forgotten everything else I've watched because there really hasn't been a lot. It's been a crazy week at work.
We haven't really watched anything, to be honest. Like, there's just nothing.
TBH. Didn't you start a new series?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Cool. So that's what Robin's been playing.
I haven't watched a lot of stuff. I was watching Heartland like nonstop, and then I took a break. And
You had some series on in here when you were doing homework.
was it anime?
Like Tuesday. I don't believe it was anime. No.
The plot thickens.
Right. This is just riveting stuff for our listeners.
Yeah, no, sorry, I don't remember.
Right on. Well, Charlie, what have you been watching this week?
I've been watching Portlandia still. I'm almost done with it. I think I forget how short their seasons are. but it's entertaining. It's growing on me.
Nice.
And then I watched Robin Hood Men in Tights.
I fucking love that movie.
We started watching that too.
Yeah, we fell asleep because it was like 1 a.m. and we're like, we have to work tomorrow.
Dude, I did the same thing. So I was looking through HBO movies because I have HBO
Go or now or whichever one it is.
I don't remember. I have both apps, and I like
Go
always.
now.
I'm always like, which app do I go to? But yeah, I have it. So I was looking through all the movies, and I decided to watch that. And then like halfway through, I was like, I have to go to bed.
That's so funny.
But yeah, that's it. Nothing crazy.
I have to say, I'm a total liar. I just remembered the other things that we watched because I knew there was something.
Liar.
Yeah, we watched the season
Lemonade.
premiere of The Good Place with Kristen Stewart and Ted Danson.
No
And
spoilers.
The Good Doctor.
And we watched the series premiere of The Good Doctor, which is the guy who
Which
made
is-
House. It's his new show.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What is his name?
David Shore.
David Shore.
And
oh my goodness, it
the
was so good.
primary character is the kid from Bates Motel.
Bates Motel.
And he plays an autistic kid who's also a savant, so he has to struggle through his disability. And the first episode you're watching, you're like, you're going to make me cry a lot, aren't you? Like, this is one of those fucking
Oh
series.
my gosh, there's
'Cause
a
it's
point in it where I was
intense.
I couldn't.
She, like, looked at me and her eyes, like, filled with tears. I was like, shut up. Like, don't start this yet. It's only going to get worse. So, I will say, I was really happy to see The Good Place, but I was really impressed with Good Doctor because, like, House being a medical mystery show that was, like, a play on Sherlock Holmes worked for so long, it's like, now that they don't have to have, like, a flavor of the week every episode, like, they can have a persistent character with something wrong with them multiple times. I'm really excited to see how this show goes, but I don't think it'll be canceled. Like, usually I watch the first episode of something, I'm like, it's canceled in 4 episodes. But I think it'll
this time
do.
you were like, I'm gonna say it's gonna go on for like 4 or 5 seasons.
I was like, I'll give this 4 or 5 seasons until they ruin everything, and it's just stupid. So,
Maybe you guys should also watch The Good Wife.
no.
And
No.
maybe you should start listening to Good Golly Miss Molly. Like, all the stuff you're doing this week is good in the title.
Good stuff.
The Good Place and The Good Doctor.
No.
There's no games with good in the title.
I would rather
so-
listen to Good Golly and Miss Molly on repeat for an hour than watch The Good Wife.
The Good Wife is actually good. Okay.
Whatever. Juliana
Good Wife
Margulies,
is
right?
nice.
I don't
They're
even
good.
like Juliana Margulies,
I
but
don't
that is
either.
a good show.
I don't want to watch it. No, you
It
can't
has
make me.
what's that guy's name? I can't remember that actor's name. The
It's
dude
that guy from The Thing.
the guy from Romeo and Michelle's High School Reunion that plays Sandy Frank.
Oh, Paul Rubin? No, that's not him.
He's Irish. Alan Cumming.
Oh, okay.
I love Alan Cumming. He's
Yeah, he is good.
hilarious and he's amazing.
I'll check it out. Never. CJ, what have you been watching, bro?
I mean, for the most
Friends.
part, really just YouTube videos of how to successfully build a awesome D&D campaign, because that's what I'm trying to do.
You put a lot of time into it. I mean, we sat down, we spent at least an hour and a half with my character. I built a druid. Super excited because I built my character so that I can do as much as I can as far as transforming into other animals goes. And then based off my backstory, me and CJ went through and we're like, okay, what animals have I already seen? Because to transform, you have to have already seen an animal. So we literally went through everything that I should be capable of transforming to in level 2. And we're like, yeah, you've seen this. No, he hasn't seen this. Let's give you a couple cool ones. And then he was like spitballing creatures that he could make up. So like
Ligers.
a dire corgi or some shit like that.
Aw.
Where it's like I'm huge and I'm adorable. So
I've narrowed
We'll
it
see
down
what
to
happens with
3, so we'll see what I pick. But no, just like, so I'm very committed into building this campaign into something awesome. So much that I didn't have to go into work till 11 today, so I stayed up super late last night. I accidentally passed out in my chair and didn't realize it. And then I woke up at like 4 o'clock in the morning, just leaned back in my chair, and I was like, my back really hurts. And I opened my eyes, I was like, that's because I'm in my computer chair. And yeah,
that's
it was,
fucking hilarious. Like, where am I?
just papers all over the place, dice everywhere. I was like, yep, fell asleep.
Yeah, I'm super excited for it though. And you did pick a name too, which I'm impressed with because I have trouble picking names for like anything.
I mean, I'm just awesome like that, so.
Well, share the name with the listeners.
So the name of the title of the D&D campaign is going to be The Expected Journey.
I like it.
It's kind
I
of
really
like a play
it, actually.
on the unexpected journey, but it's expected because I brought all you people to my table
Exactly.
to tell you a
let us
story.
know. So we'll see how that goes. We're recording this Wednesday, correct?
Yes.
Cool. So we'll get that going, and then we'll see what happens with it. But I think that's good for what we've been playing, what we've been watching, what we've been planning on doing with D&D soon, stuff like that. And then we all talked about how much we hate Juliana Margulies, so that's good.
Wow.
So, team building activities. So let's just power right into the big three. CJ, what do you got for us in Microsoft news?
Not a whole lot, so I'll be kind of quick here. So there was an article that was released that I found in a couple places over the interwebs of these mysterious games being leaked for Xbox Game with Gold, and I was super excited. And then I figured out that that is completely not true, and those are not the games that are going to be free.
So you're saying we can't always trust the internet?
Can't always trust the internet, but just to make you sad, just like I was, the games that were supposed to be released on the Xbox One were Devil May Cry,
Oh,
These aren't
Would've
the
been
ones
good.
that are
These
being
aren't the
released. These are the
ones.
fake ones now.
and they were supposed to, and the other one that was supposed to come out in the latter half of October was Shadow of Mordor. So both of those being really big name titles, and when I go back and look at the other games with gold, there's really not, like, maybe every couple months there's a couple big name titles, but it really hasn't been anything huge like Shadow of Mordor was. So I was super pumped, and then I realized that none of that is true, because the actual games with gold are as followed. From October 1st to October 31st, you can download Gone Home for free. And
Gone Home's
then,
pretty decent, solid title.
Didn't they give us?
Yeah, it's
Grown
still a good
Home
one.
Not that long ago.
Grown up.
Grown up.
oh,
Yeah.
and the Turing test? That's cool.
Really?
Yeah,
Just,
and
just
then-
jumping right ahead and stealing his news, huh?
Oh, sorry.
October 16th through November 15th, the Turing test, which I hadn't actually heard of that game, so I had to look it up. And as I was looking it up, my computer reset itself, so I lost the article. So I gave up on looking for that. But check it out. I'm sure it's great. Yeah.
Right
Totally
on.
just put my thumb up. And then the Xbox 360 titles are Rayman 3, and these are on the Xbox website. For some reason, it showed both of these going from October 1st to October 31st. I don't think that's right. I think they're going to cut it in half like they do normally.
All right, probably.
But it shows both of them. It's Rayman 3 and Medal of Honor Airborne. So if you haven't played the
Only-
Medal of Honor game, the story for that was really good from what I
If
heard.
you haven't
And
gotten to
then-
that game since 2007.
All right, for those of you who've been holding it.
Yeah. A couple backwards compatible games were released, and it's the entire Halo series from Halo 1, 2, and 3, Halo ODST, which Reach was already out, so they just kind of add along with those. And each game also comes with all the DLC with it, so that's going to be nice. You had to play all like the
All that
DLC
Halo 1
maps
DLC
and-
back in the day.
yeah.
I have a feeling they quit making like Master Chief collections, so they were like, just have your old games.
Yeah.
I know, they're just like, here's the old games with some, and they added, and they still went back and even updated some of the graphics in the old games. It's really weird. The other big thing was Phil Spencer kind of hinted towards the fact that Fable Anniversary is currently being worked on as the next like most requested backwards compatibility game.
I'm kind of excited about that, but at the same time, I'm just like, meh. I've played Halo or Fable 1 so many times. I'm just like, I guess I can do it again at like super improved graphics, but I would just prefer for a new fucking Fable game to come out. But
Which won't
We'll see.
happen.
It'll be out next year, right after Scalebound.
all right,
Yay,
thank you so much, Charlie.
there it
Scalebound
is.
reference number 39. Twist the blade.
It's all right because eventually it'll come out. Eventually, but anyway, moving on. We also had a article that was dropped by some of the Sea of Thieves
Sea of Thieves.
developers and confirming that there will be crossplay with PC, and them trying to create the perfect balance to where someone on Xbox and someone with PC, not one side is going to be more overpowered. And one of the quotes that they put in it was they're trying to make it as balanced as possible, so they might be able to finally end the 30-year-old debate of which is better, console or PC. So we'll see how that goes. To my knowledge, playing with the keyboard and mouse is always easier, but who knows?
I did notice too that they said that they had previously had an idea that the sales on your ship would be different, and there would be specific ones to PC and there'd be specific ones to Xbox. That way you
Yes.
kind of knew, and there would be that rivalry of like rival pirates crossing each other. But they did decide to scrap that. But a lot of people had said that they really liked that idea. And being on the Insider program, I can say that they did send out a blast to all the people to let them know that the testing is going to come much quicker, like and much more rapid succession, and not as spaced out anymore, since it was basically just events previously. So I'm really excited. I think that's a good sign that this thing is moving towards the beta stage, which is just a hop, skip, and a jump away from release. So
Fall next year.
Very, very close.
you say fall next year?
Yeah, that's my bet.
I say summer. I think they're going to get out just earlier than fall, because I don't think they want to hit. Like, it's a new title and people are hyped for it, but I don't think they want to hit when Call of Duty Black Ops 17 hits. Oh,
I
look, an
say
achievement just popped for me from NBA 2K.
October or September next year.
October, September.
I say it releases before
I'll
Red
get
Dead
5
Redemption 2.
reserves. No one cares.
One of them will be me. And
8
then
out
I'll
of
buy
10.
it. And then I'll buy it digitally anyways.
8 out of 10 will be the review score.
Okay, and so that brings the awesome Microsoft news section to an end. So really kind of light week, but I think as a couple more games start to get released and we get closer to the winter launches and the Xbox One X launch, there'll start being more and more news articles. So hopefully we get some more Xbox stuff rolling soon.
Yeah, right now it's kind of put up or shut up time. They're done announcing shit. Now it's time to deliver. So I think we're really getting into that. Like tomorrow, we're recording on September 30th, and October is such a huge fucking month for video game releases. So we shall see how it goes. But right on. Moving right along into Sony news. Charlie, what do you got for us?
So first of all, Sony this week announced that they will not be creating any more handhelds. The president of Sony Interactive Entertainment, Andrew House, said that he sees the market as limited, considering that everyone plays on their phones now, and that they will not be considering making more handhelds.
We had a solid discussion on this on the website, because multiple people chimed in. I think I was the only person that said that this actually surprised me.
On the website or Facebook?
On Facebook, my bad. But yeah, so I think most people are like, yeah, I figured that, but it's like, realistically, they had a patent get released showing that they were planning a device that was almost identical to the Switch about a year ago.
Dang.
And then they were saying they were going to invest into market research right around the time the Switch was announced, where it's like, so Nintendo's going to do it for you? They're going to release a product that you guys are planning to make, and then just see if there's a market. And then Switch came out, and it's like, oh, look, it's super insanely popular. So I've just been waiting for them to announce their next plan or their Vita X or whatever the fuck they would do. And then they came out with this one. They're like, nah, we're good. Like, fuck it. Like, we're not going to try and do that again. So I was actually kind of disappointed, because I was thinking of all the things that they could do with a Sony handheld and make it actually functional, where it can, like, play with your PlayStation 4 like the Vita had intended to be originally. So I was pretty shocked. A lot of people were just like, yeah, I saw this coming. So
Yeah, but it's just the Vita's not good in comparison. Like, I like the PSP more than I like the Vita.
I understand that, but I was thinking that a new iteration was, like, in the cards, especially with how well the Switch had been doing.
I don't think they can come up with anything better. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they could come up with something better, but they don't put in a lot of effort, and I feel like that's been the norm for a while. It's frustrating, though, because, I mean, Vita made a lot of the same mistakes that PSP did. PSP was very heavy RPG, some sports, some shooter, and Vita is the same. And then they quit making software for it. They don't even make new Vitas anymore. Like,
Right.
people come in to buy Vitas, and I'm like, they haven't made new Vitas? Like, we haven't had new Vitas for at least a year.
Wow.
Like, it's crazy. I feel like they gave up on it before consumers gave up on it. But maybe they just weren't seeing the returns. And also, I mean, they have the VR market, which no other publisher really has. So,
Yeah.
or no
That's very true.
console
And
developer
Microsoft
has.
doesn't really have an intention right now of entering into the VR market. They
Like-
let everyone speculate for a while, but then they're like, yeah, we're going to hold off on that.
Like, as dumb as it sounds and as silly as it seems, I've had people ask me if there's ever going to be Switch VR. So I'm like,
They actually released
Yeah.
their patent, and they've patented a headset device where you can put your Switch into it.
is it called
So
Virtual
it's-
Boy? I'm just
That'd
kidding.
be hilarious. It'd be Virtual Boy 2. But it's literally where you slide your Vita into something. It's the way you do your phone.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's
and
super smart.
then you can just strap it to your head and then use the controllers that you already have, which it
snap.
basically functions as like a cheaper version of Oculus Touch.
Yeah.
And
and
then
you
you
already
still have to
have-
have your phone to talk to your friends.
Right? So you don't need to worry about anything.
You get a headset that slides your phone in.
It's perfect.
Just sits right there by your ear.
We have a gnat in the studio that's driving everyone crazy. So if you hear
No.
anything that sounds like hands swatting at a mic, that's why.
So yeah, that was kind of interesting, kind of sad. We'll see if it holds up. The second article I have from Sony is that the makers of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds talked about this week that they have been discussing making that game for other consoles besides Xbox.
In particular, PlayStation 4.
Yes, they are in talks with Sony, supposedly. It probably won't be for a while. I'm sure there will be some kind of timed exclusivity for Xbox. They also talked about that the game should be coming out for Xbox towards the end of this year still. But yeah, they're in talks with other companies.
It is interesting. I think it's smart of them. It's like, hey, let's go flirt and see what we can get offered from Sony. And probably not Switch, but holy fuck, if they could do it for Switch, that'd be awesome.
You still have to get that headset that holds
rough.
your cell phone.
Right.
So one interesting thing that I heard, the Twitch streamer Ninja, he plays a lot of PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds. He took first place in their first like little streamer tournament, and then at the PUBG Invitational at Gamescom, he took third place. He's really close to a lot of the developers, and a lot of people were asking when it comes out on console if he's going to play, or are they going to try it out? And he was saying that there's no reason for him to play on it because it's just going to be so downscaled. But he also was talking about how he had heard that it's also supposed to be coming to PS4, but they want it to be crossplay compatible. So I don't know if that's going to be the first game Sony opens up, just because of the amount of people who want to play that game. That's going to bring in money for them. Maybe that'll be the game that changes Sony's mind. But
Right.
I don't know if they're going to let Sony have the game if they're not going to let it be cross-compatible.
I really feel like the reason that they really want to go and basically flirt with Sony is so they can go back to Microsoft with a price tag. Like, do you want this to be exclusive? Here's how much you have to pay us. Because here's how much we think we could sell on the largest install base in the console market right now.
And then Microsoft will be like, good day.
Microsoft will probably be like, we shit money here, so whatever. Here's your briefcase with your $sign on it.
I don't think they would pay for that. I feel like Microsoft
I don't
would
think
be like,
so
nah,
either.
I
we're
think
good.
where they're at right now, they need to start getting exclusive titles. And
They need to.
it's like with the persistent world stuff that everyone seems to be going towards, because like Ubisoft just said that they want to be persistent world. I know that Square
Destiny?
Enix said that the same thing. Yeah, very similar to how you release a title and then keep it alive, so you can basically keep milking money out of people.
I was going to say, well, I mean, that's the dream, obviously, but that doesn't seem to be holding up. I mean, Destiny 1 was supposed to be a 10-year plan, and look where we are now.
I feel like Destiny 1, they did not publicize that right. They should have said that Destiny itself is a 10-year plan.
Yeah, Destiny,
rather than saying,
yeah.
like, we'll keep this game going forever. Because it's like, World of Warcraft was like, we're going to keep this alive for as long as possible, but we're going to release expansions type of thing. So
I just feel like it's not realistic because, I mean, I think the only game that's really been able to pull that off is, like, what, Minecraft? Like, most of the time...
World of Warcraft, technically.
Yeah, but they've made expansions, like paid physical expansions.
Oh, yeah. I don't think that it's possible to have a game come out without releasing additional content for it. But, like, I think they look at stuff like The Division doing well still and still being on the top 10 and Siege doing better and better.
Yeah.
Which is bizarre and saying, like, that's why Ubisoft in particular is like, okay, we just released Wildlands and it's the best-selling game of the year still. I mean, October hasn't hit yet, but it's like, realistically, that's way better than I think anyone anticipated. And all these other developers are like, let's find a way we can release a game and just try and keep people playing it, because like everyone still plays League of Legends.
Yeah, I think
like
those
crazy.
games are in a league of their own, though, because of the rounds of gameplay, like Overwatch and League
Right.
Yeah.
and Rainbow Six. Like, those attract a certain type of person who are okay with playing round after round of multiplayer with just new characters, whereas, like, doing it with the whole storyline is hard, because people eventually want a new game content that you can't just
new
add in.
stories.
So do you think PUBG would be successful, given that it's a game where it is just multiplayer rounds?
I think PUBG could do
Yeah.
that, but I don't think that, like, Fallout. I don't think there's ever going to be a
Oh, no.
Fallout where it's just like, let's just some new expansions. Like, people
No,
are going to want
those
new
won't
gameplay.
happen. But I think PUBG they're looking at it right now where it's like, if we're going to have a game that's going to continue to do this, like, we need it to be exclusive. And I think that's why they kind of announced it the way they did at E3.
But that's why it's
It's
so
got to be a
different
game
from,
where
like,
there's a different outcome every time. That's the thing. Like with League of Legends, you go in, you really don't know.
Even
If you put the
literally
best
a
players in the
Battlegrounds
world
game.
against each other,
Yeah.
anything could happen. So like that's why those games don't need. You don't have to come out with a new version of that game, no League of Legends 2 or PUBG 2, because even though it's the same game, it's a different outcome every single time.
Right. So
Which
that's
is-
why I think Microsoft might actually want to make this an exclusive.
yeah. I mean, it makes sense for them to do that. It's just not the type of... It's not like Destiny. Like, you can make Overwatch live forever. You can't make Destiny live forever because eventually
No.
it's storyline based at its core, and eventually people are gonna want that's the difference between that category of like Rainbow Six, Overwatch versus Division, Ghost Recon.
Right. I mean, they're already making another Division game, and that'll pull the audience from the original to it. So it's like that kind of carryover where you have a game that's like going to get regular releases is different, and that's why I think they see that wave, and the developers see that wave right now too. So they're like, maybe it's time because we have no fucking exclusives except for Cuphead, and so it's like okay, but anyways.
Was I still talking about Sony news? I don't know. I have my next article, which is about the PlayStation Plus games for the month of October. They are going to be the Amnesia Collection, which is a horror series. PlayStation kind of has the leg up on horror, so that's cool that they're giving out some of those games for free. I don't know if they appeal to like the masses, but they tend to have more horror games, and it's the month for horror, so
Yeah.
I guess it makes perfect sense.
October's hitting. I'm so excited for Stranger Things Season 2.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's super close now.
I'm very excited. So excited.
I haven't been this excited since the documentary about the guy who drew the dicks. Which, by the way, was really good. American Vandal.
So the next game that's free, it's going to be free in October, is Hue, which is a game that's confusing to me. I don't know. It seems like a storyline-based game. It says it's a game offering that sees... It just starts going into the storyline of the game, so I guess I won't talk about that because I don't want to spoil it for anybody.
Spoilers.
But the next game on there is Metal Gear Solid 5 Phantom Pain, which is pretty cool.
That is like a AAA title, too, so
Yep.
that's just really impressive. I will have to turn on my PlayStation 4 and do all the updates and download that right before. It would be so fucking funny if I played that instead of Horizon Zero Dawn. You would be so mad at me.
It'd be
whatever.
amazing.
I give up at this point. The next title is a game called Skyforce Anniversary, which will be for PS4, PS3, and Vita, which is a vertically scrolling shoot 'em up. And then for PS3, you'll get Hustle Kings, which is a pool video game.
Oh my god, I can't wait.
I know. Turn on your PS3 for that. And then you'll get Monster Jam Battlegrounds, which is just monster trucks. You guys know what that's about?
Yep.
All about that monster truck.
Who doesn't like
No, please
Gravedigger or
explain.
Bigfoot?
And then I didn't really have this as an article, but I found it interesting. I found an article where people talk about, someone talked about the games that they would want to see on a PS2 mini,
Wow,
Which
that's
is-
a lot of fucking games.
which is not a thing.
That is insane.
And I don't think would become a thing because I think that would be a hard list to narrow down. But I
Castlevania
thought it
Symphony
was
of the Night.
a cool idea.
Kingdom Hearts all over again.
I think the games would be bigger, and that would be part of the challenge. There's not as many like
Yeah, that's when they
simple
transitioned
games.
into CDs, so it's more substantial of a thing.
yeah, but I think that'd be cool. Or PS1 Classic, I guess, would be the one that they're talking about, like Parappa, Persona 2, Suikoden, Tomb Raider, the original Tomb Raider, Siphon Filter,
Yeah, I hated Siphon Filter. I was like, I'd rather play Metal Gear Solid.
the first Spyro, which everyone wants Spyro to have a big comeback, like Crash and everything has.
Yeah.
Vagrant Story, Silent Hill. So that would be cool. I doubt that it'll ever happen.
Right.
I don't know how they would do that, but it would be awesome. Legacy of Kain, like that's one of
I really
those
like Legacy of
games
Kain.
people still look for. The original Resident Evil, Castlevania Symphony of the Night is on their list. I think I don't know how that would work, but it would be kind of cool.
It's a really fun thing to do, is sit down and make your list of what you would want from specific consoles. Because, like, I think I was reading an article recently. It might have been when they announced SNES Classic, so it might have been a few months ago. But it was what you would want in a N64 Classic. I was
That
like,
time
is
will
this a
probably
real...
come.
I was, like, super annoyed. I was like, why would they do this? This was so recent. And I'm like, oh, wait, I'm fucking old. This isn't recent at all.
Just Mario 64.
Mario 64,
Not
Ocarina
Pokemon
of Time,
Coliseum.
Majora's Mask, Pokemon Coliseum would be cool.
They have Tony Hawk Pro Skater on here, which I'm totally down for. That
Oh
was
my
my
god,
one or
I
two. Was it
love
one or two?
one.
I like
I
2
like
better.
two
Really?
too.
Yeah.
High five.
Yay, 2-2.
Nerds. Yeah, I
Nerds.
loved Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
So good. The music was
The
good.
early games
the
were
gameplay
much
was
better.
Good.
Yeah, there's so much ska on Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. How could you go wrong?
But yeah, that's all my Sony news. I just found that article interesting. It'd be cool if they did that. I think it'd be genius.
I do
I'm sure
too.
they'd sell a bunch of them. They could sell them at like $100 probably.
Yeah, and they would probably send you more than 30. So
Yeah, they'd sell us
Probably.
a fuckload.
they'd be like, "How many did you have pre-ordered? 100. We're gonna send you 600. Take that, Charlie."
Yep.
So right on. Powering along to the third leg of the big three. We've got some Nintendo news here. Some of it's good, some of it's bad. Basic Nintendo corner. Stardew Valley is one step closer to being released for Switch.
Wait.
It will be released as well. What's up?
Is it too late for me to say you take the good, you take the bad, you take them both, and there you have the Nintendo news?
No, it's
Oh
not.
my god.
It's obviously not because you just said it. So there you go.
Yay!
But Stardew Valley will be releasing very soon, and it will be including multiplayer mode in 2018. I hate you.
Multiplayer mode.
Yeah, so I'm actually kind of interested in this. I know it looks like an
can't
expansive world that looks like Farmville from Facebook, where you can play with your friends. But at the same time, maybe I'll try it out because it kind of looks fun. I really liked Fantasy Life. That game was one of my favorite games the year it came out.
Oh, yeah.
I've gotten to master level or whatever the top level is, and every class you can make your character, and every job that you can do for a profession or whatever. So if this has anything that's similar to it, I might need to pick it up because that might become my new addiction.
Besides Horizon Zero Dawn.
Right. Let me go ahead and move into my next piece. So the Virtual Console still is not released for Nintendo, but on the eShop this week we had the original Mario Bros. So something that's typically released on the eShop wind up dropping. So you can go check that out if you want, and keep in mind that the original Mario Bros. Kind of sucked dick. So I was looking at the screenshots for it. I'm
I
like,
don't know who wants to play that.
I was like, I remember this game. I did not fucking like this game.
you don't like
at
Mario
all.
now, so I guess that's not saying much, but I have no interest in that.
Was thinking about it the other day, and my hatred for Mario was a childish rivalry, and I'm going to give Odyssey a chance. And also, I want more games for my fucking Switch, so I'm going to go ahead and pick that up.
So
when
you're
it
going to
comes
buy the
out.
only game that's anticipated this year other than Zelda.
Correct. But there's another one, right? There's one that got announced for December. I think it was Xenoblade Chronicles.
Yeah.
I'll probably pick that up too, but I don't know. For those of you who are fans of dinosaurs, I have wonderful news. So beloved
What kind
Nintendo,
of dinosaur?
Yoshi's in particular.
Okay.
Beloved character Yoshi has been being physically abused by Mario since his inception. Nintendo did confirm that the way Yoshi's tongue comes out of his head is Mario punches him in the fucking head. They literally released a statement stating that
hear about Mario and Yoshi's Donkey Punch adventure.
I know. I think that would be a
Just
great
about
title.
to say that.
But they said, while we were developing Super Mario Maker, the subject of what Mario is doing with his arm when Yoshi sticks his tongue out in Super Mario World came up a lot. People on the team thought Mario is pointing ahead and saying go, but actually I drew the artwork with the intention that Mario is hitting Yoshi on the head and he's sticking his tongue out from the surprise. So anyone who's a fan of Mario and not a fan of animal abuse, I just want you to know that you've been abusing Yoshi your entire goddamn life and you didn't realize it. So.
Oh no.
And anybody who wants to see someone stick their tongue out should just punch them in the back of the head. Clearly,
Exactly.
we know that's just science.
That's just how things work.
That's how it
Yeah.
works now.
But I mean, that's dinosaur science. So, did it work? I mean, you just stuck your tongue out and no one punched you in the back
That's
of
what
the
I'm
head.
picturing. I'm just trying to imagine it.
Every time I get punched in the back of the head, I
punching
I don't
yourself in
usually
the
think that would be
pass out and wake up without
like,
my wallet.
that's what Yoshi should be doing.
And the final piece of Nintendo news I have, since all that stuff was so wholesome, let's go ahead and end on a sour note for Nintendo. So, Nintendo has never been very nice to YouTube streamers. It doesn't like its content being streamed on YouTube, and it created something called the Nintendo Creators Program, which was launched in 2015, that allows YouTubers to receive a portion of advertising proceeds from any videos containing Nintendo copyrighted content. Okay, so essentially if you're a YouTuber and you stream Nintendo content, you can sign up for this, and it makes things a little bit easier, and it's a better relationship between you, a YouTuber, and Nintendo. This past week,
They're like, we don't want that shit.
they literally decided to come out and say that the people that are in the Creators Program have two options. They can broadcast content
Fudge you
on
and get the
YouTube
fudge
Live
out.
from a channel that isn't registered to the program. So it's like you can either broadcast from a channel where you're not a creator, where you're not a Nintendo creator, or they can cancel their channel's registration to the program and instead register their videos to the program separately. So they literally took something that they had created to make things easier for these people so they could have revenue sharing and said, like, if you're a member, you're not allowed to stream our product anymore. So you can either stream it on a separate fucking channel where your followers don't exist, or you can withdraw from the program.
What's to stop you from linking
Wow.
those two though? That's my only question is wouldn't it be fairly easy to link your videos to your profile and then just have a separate, like a redirect in a way.
I'm sure you could. And
shouldn't have to,
It's
but-
an extra step that Nintendo would make you take, and if they caught, I'm sure that they would say that you were violating their terms of conditions. But
Yeah.
I mean, notable streamers were not happy. They posted the actual email that they received all over Twitter.
What's the point of that? So they don't make money, or
I have no earthly idea aside from to burn all the goodwill that they might have earned for the last 2 years with YouTubers. But some of these comments on Twitter were making me laugh my ass off so much.
maybe it's based off of content. Like maybe it's the whole PewDiePie backlash. They don't want
That's the only
people
thing I could
streaming
link it to
Nintendo
in my
products
head.
and saying the N word.
Right? I mean,
I
Yeah.
can see that.
those things don't really match up. But it's weird that they would say, like, you can quit our Nintendo Creators Program and then say the N-word all you want while you stream our stuff. It's like,
I guess it's 'cause
How?
it's the direct affiliation.
it must have something to do with being
Or
affiliated with Nintendo
They're
directly.
like, I can say the N word. Nintendo told me I could.
Right. It's
Yeah,
bizarre,
gotta be
but
something.
the streamers were just saying stuff like, they allow random people to stream Nintendo games, but they don't allow people in the Nintendo Creators Program to stream. Makes zero fucking sense to make a service with the word creator in it, but remove all access to streaming on YouTube. They should call it the bullshit program.
And why just YouTube, though?
Jesus.
It's specifically stated in this letter, it's for YouTube. So it doesn't even mention Twitch. So I don't know
That's crazy.
like what's going on here, but it is quite bizarre.
Maybe it's an issue with YouTube. Maybe it's like
Maybe it's
something
between
that
them.
Yeah, so hopefully we get
between Google and
Maybe
I hate you
the
so much.
maybe the person who owns YouTube got into a fight with maybe the guy that owns YouTube. I'm assuming it's a guy because I'm sexist.
Okay.
Dated
Google.
the daughter of the person who runs Nintendo, Reggie Fils-Aimé. Does he have a daughter?
I don't know.
And then he broke up with her. I don't know.
Maybe he
That's what
ran
I'm
over
thinking.
Reggie Fils-Aimé's dog.
Maybe.
That could be.
Oh, there we go.
That's everything I have for Nintendo news. You heard it here. Right on. That's everything I have for Nintendo news.
Woo.
We'll get through some additional
We are
news
cooking.
and then we'll go over some boss battle stuff with you guys. I'm actually really excited to talk about the boss battle thing. I know some of you guys are less single player oriented than I am, but let's get
I'm
through.
like all single player. I just apparently play like super easy shit.
Well, then
I just had a hard time. Yeah,
you don't
'cause I'm
have
just
any
not-
bosses that you enjoy.
I
Okay,
just
save
am
it.
particularly
save it for
skilled
the
at
pod.
video
Sure.
games.
We'll
This
get
is
to
the
it.
this is the pod.
Well, the
I'm
later
just
part
gonna
of the
start
pod.
talking about Beyonce again.
No,
Please
I
don't.
didn't receive any feedback
God.
on that, which proves that no one listens to the show. So we'll keep
am-
going. But for additional news, Final Fantasy 15 did announce in its upcoming multiplayer DLC will be titled Comrades, that you will be able to play with friends through Final Fantasy 15. It's something I'm actually kind of excited for. I want to see how it works a little bit before I get invested into it. But I actually thought to myself, like, this makes me kind of want to buy a second copy of this game so that I can actually sit down and play with Robin side by side because the game is gorgeous.
This is like a whole new world of Final Fantasy trying to make people come back to their game and care about it after the release. This has never happened.
What's shocking to me on this too is that this game was in development for 10 years and they're investing more time and money into it because it actually sold really well. So
Yeah.
it's very unlike Square to release something that people had low expectations for, impress, and then build upon it. Like doing the right thing is kind of odd for them. So I thought that was
Doing
quite
the
interesting.
Right thing is odd for them.
It's almost like if EA were to give people DLC for free.
Oh,
that
God.
probably wouldn't happen.
Or if EA would have good servers.
Oh god, that would be so nice. Or if they didn't use peer-to-peer connection for just about everything.
Oh my god.
So there's been actually a lot of news in the Monster Hunter world this past week. They did announce that there was going to be training and research facilities. They released a ton of screenshots for those. Check those out if you guys are a fan of Monster Hunter. I've had a couple people talk to me about it recently and how you get really invested in developing your character, since we all talked about the fact that we never seem to wind up getting into it. But I thought it was really interesting. There was also an employee at one of the sites that we pay attention to that stated that he spent a bunch of time with the demo and that he had never become addicted to a Monster Hunter game, and now he can't wait for it to come out because it's all he wants to do. So I thought that was really cool. They're really doing a lot of advertising for Monster Hunter World, and honestly, up until I started working at GameStop, I had no idea Monster Hunter even existed.
Yeah, it's
I'd
a pretty
it's like under the radar. Yeah,
It is a very under the
and
radar
now that
game.
you know Dark Souls isn't being made anymore and something needs to fill that slot, it kind of matches because it's very difficult. It's sluggish combat, kind of like that, and it's giant monsters that you get to fight.
And you get multiplayer.
And you get multiplayer, which will be very interesting to see how that works out. So, kind of excited for that. But Kotaku posted an article. This is a separate issue, but Kotaku posted an article recently regarding a game designer who came out and decided to make a statement. His name was Charles Randall, regarding why it always seems that developers are not honest with people, or not forthcoming or upright, or forthcoming or are upfront about things that they're going to be doing with their game or anything like that. But he flat out stated that the reason that they are less candid than they should be is because the gaming culture is so incredibly toxic. And regardless of basically what you say, someone will find a way to shit on it and twist your words and basically destroy your product if you tell them something that they don't want to hear, even if it's the truth. He said the other day a friend commented to me, I wish game developers are more candid about development. And he said the reason they don't do this is because game culture is so toxic that being candid in public is literally dangerous. And it became kind of a big issue of people like going back and forth on Twitter about why the gaming culture is so toxic, and basically saying what came first, the chicken or the egg. But it's just kind of funny to me because it's like, even if game developers are candid and everything went totally fine and the game came out and worked perfectly, gaming culture will still be toxic because of the way people compete online and decide to be kind of giant fucking assholes to each other. So this one was just kind of funny for me because I'm just like, it's nice to see someone come out and actually say, like, it's because you guys are fucking pricks. That's why we don't tell you anything.
I think that the issue is that when you're developing a game, it's in progress. And if anybody else, like movies, they do that a little bit, but they don't do that with like books or anything where you talk about the process of writing the book while you're writing it.
Right.
And I think that some people might not understand that it's evolving, so it may change. And that's what the struggle is. Like, you announce your game and the concept behind it, and then halfway through you realize that some of the things you wanted are not feasible or don't make sense or don't work out, and then you have to change things, and then when you release it, it's not what you said it was. So I think that is the disconnect. Is
you have to keep as much secret about your game that you're not 100% sure you can accomplish.
Yeah, or you have to try and make it as clear as humanly possible that, like, this may change, but this is your goal, or this is what you're thinking of. And I don't know how you'd bridge that gap, but I think that's the issue, is that a bunch of people always tend to feel like they're getting sold a false bill of goods when they get No Man's Sky and it's not the game that they thought it was going to be.
Right. And the thing about that is that games media was the one that was hyping that thing up as much as it did.
Yeah, they don't
because
help.
When you watch E3 and you watch those demos, it's like, yeah, the dinosaurs look different, but I got the game I expected because I didn't follow and buy into all the goddamn hype. I was like, so it's endless worlds and it's really just kind of exploration and there's not a whole lot to do and there's not a whole lot of storyline. Like, okay, got it. I still bought it. I put like 24 hours into it. I didn't get rid of the game because it wasn't what I was promised. I got rid of the game because it was glitched and I could never get my hyperdrive. And I was like, well, this fucking sucks. Release a patch already. But it's like, for situations like that too, it's like, they showed a concept that people were excited for, and everyone kind of created the game that they wanted in their own heads. And when it didn't match that, it's just like, oh, these guys fucking suck.
And games are kind of unique in that way that we talk about them while they're being developed and while they could change. Like, you don't see publisher or authors out on tours talking about what they think their book is going to be midway through writing it. It's like it's either written or it hasn't been written yet.
Can you imagine if like Stephen King was like, so I'm thinking about a 13-year-old gangbang, but we'll see what happens when we're in the sewer. Like, we'll go from there.
Yeah. But
for those of you who don't know, that is actually in the book,
It,
and they left it out of the movie, thank God, because everyone's like, what the fuck just happened? So I'm not a creep, kind of. But
I think the problem is, like, so if they start being more candid and they get a lot of backlash, then games start becoming more and more delayed, and no one likes their games being delayed. People want their games to come out on time. Then you have the problem of people second guessing, and then you don't get the game that somebody who originally pitched it to a board of directors now, like, their game has just turned into some crapshoot because somebody somewhere decided it'd be a great idea to type up, oh, they decided they're going to move forward with this, and it's not this, so we're not going to play this game. And everyone jumps on board because that's how the internet is. It's a giant follow the guy leading the shit train.
That's totally true.
Then an entire game 360s, when the original game, if they would have just given it a chance, might have been better. Or they would have been able to play it sooner because they didn't have to rewrite an entire part or entire scene because somebody decided that they were going to just tear it down.
Yeah, Yeah, I could definitely see that. Like, people's opinions of things change what you end up making. The other part of it is obviously the gaming industry is really competitive, and you have issues currently already, like the creators of PUBG getting upset about the Fortnite release.
Right, yeah.
It's like, do we really know that the people of Fortnite decided to make something that was based off of PUBG? We don't. But it's still possible that if you announce and talk about what your game is going to be like, and it's a good concept, that someone may create something very similar or perfect what you were working on, and then you've lost your concept.
This is why my favorite developer is still Blizzard, because they're like, we're going to announce everything we're thinking about doing, and if it doesn't make it into the game, too fucking bad.
Yeah.
And then they're like, when's the game out? When it's done, bitch. That's when.
Oh my
Or-
God.
They literally don't give a shit. They're like, we're going to make the best
Yeah.
product possible. We're going to take as long as we fucking need because we have all the money to pay our employees and we don't need to worry about going bankrupt. And that's why everything they release takes over whatever genre it's in.
Or, like Bethesda. Bethesda does a good job of, giving you a solid presentation when they have something to present, and then it's just like, and it's out in 6 months.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I understand that would be a challenge too, because I always hear it, like, with World War II, I hear tons of people that are like, well, they're doing it because Battlefield won. And I'm like, hold on.
Development cycles are 3 years now,
3
bro.
years for Call of Duty. So 3 years
Yeah.
ago they started making it. Granted, they could have heard rumblings in the Battlefield camp of Battlefield 1, because I'm sure that's been in development for a few
Or
years, but
just reacting to the audiences being
Exactly.
like, I'm sick of the future, man. Like, I'm sick of having
Yeah,
jump
just-
jets and robot dogs.
yeah, so
Having to come up with a new idea when the game got the least amount of pre-orders ever.
but it just seems like people jump to that really fast when something similar to something else comes out. It's like, oh, they copied them. It's like, not
Right.
necessarily, man.
It's such a simplistic view of things to say something like that. Like, it's
Yeah.
not hard to understand, like, that game took a long time to make. How would they copy someone when they didn't know what was coming out at all?
Yeah,
So it's like two people can have similar ideas around the same times. It's
Yeah.
very possible.
it definitely happens.
So speaking of creepy underage gangbangs, It Part 2 has gotten its release date, which will be September 6, 2019. So for those of you who are big fans, this is reason to celebrate for a couple things. One, we don't have to wait forever for it. And more importantly, they are going to have to start filming very soon,
Yeah.
which means we're going to get casting news on who the
Ooh, that'll
Losers
be
Club
cool.
will be for the adults. And I would really like to see Seth Green make
I
a
was gonna
return.
say that too.
I really want to. I don't care what character they give him because he was Richie in the original miniseries on ABC or whatever fucking network it was on. But he was a kid, and it would be really nice to see him come back as an adult, 27 years later, and play one of the adult characters in the movie.
That'd be cool.
I would be really happy to see that. The guy has a lot of money because of Robot Chicken and all the other shit that he gets. Just boatloads of money dumped at his fucking doorstep for.
Yeah.
But I think it'd be kind of cool to see, so I'm hoping to see that. Couple other things left for additional news. I'll let Charlie take this one. I skipped a couple things, but
I was going to say, I'm reading one of the articles you skipped.
yeah, which one did I skip? I accidentally closed it.
Everybody's gone to the Rapture creator.
This one's so sad. The
I know.
Chinese Room, the guys who made Everyone's Gone to the Rapture
Yeah.
and a couple other really good games, had to lay off the majority of
Gone
their
dark.
studio. They said they're not disbanding or anything like that, but they just are financially struggling, and it's just a really sad indictment of games industry that you could make an exceptional game that's really well received and still have to lay off your team of extremely talented people. And it's got to suck to be a game developer because you're basically a mercenary for hire unless you own your own studio.
I think that some of those smaller games, it's not really known who the studio is. So I feel like the game gets a lot of press, but not the studio. And maybe that's why the other games that they've had haven't had the success.
Even the headlines don't even say the Chinese Room. It says
Yeah.
the Everybody Gone to the Rapture developer.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
Yeah.
So
okay.
you don't know what other games they made, but they'll probably end up doing. I mean, I would assume that most of small development is going to go to Kickstarter.
Right. That's the only thing that they can really feasibly sustain themselves with at this point. But I'll let you take that other article because you beat me into putting it into the Google Doc by 5 minutes.
Yay! So I'm very excited. The Voice Actors Guild,
Otherwise
they a
known as
guild?
VAJ.
they have reached.
Vash.
They have reached a final. They finally ended their strike, so they reached an agreement with
11
game makers, and I'm very excited about that. There was an article. I'm trying to remember what it was. There was a game that Ashley Birch was in, and she had to back out of the project because she was part of that strike. So I'm super excited. You don't really realize how many things that could affect. Like Troy Baker is in almost every
Right.
fucking game, and
Nolan North, if you want like an exceptional performance, is like always good to go.
yeah, a lot of those people are in many different games, and you don't even realize how many people they play. So I think that it's super cool that they finally.
It's like if you
ended
don't
it.
realize how important voice acting is, watch a cartoon for a while, and then when they change the voice actor and you hear a new voice come out of your favorite character, let me know if it bothers you, because I don't know a single person that's ever been like, I really like that guy's new voice. It never happens.
Yeah, they
It's the worst thing ever.
it was an 11-month strike, almost a year, and they reached an agreement with 11 major video game companies like EA, Take-Two, Warner Brothers, Activision. So I think that that's a good sign for the future.
Yeah, they had not boycotted every video game developer, just basically the specific giants on the list. And it's kind of funny because when you look over what they were able to get, it's not anything near what they were requesting.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they were able to acquire some. I don't know what the best way to put it is. They were able to make conditions better for themselves and establish an idea behind the "we also deserve royalties" type of thing when they only work for 3 weeks in a video game that's development cycle is 3 years. So
Yeah, but I mean, I completely understand it. Like, they have an example in here of a character, or the person that played Nico Bellic in Grand Theft Auto 4, and how he made just $100,000, like, for his time, and he's, like, the voice of the game.
right,
And that game, I'm sure, made millions.
it's so I don't know. It's such a good argument from
25
both
million
sides.
copies.
Cool.
Anywho, so they talked a little bit about they're going to do bigger bonus payments. And they talked a lot about different issues that I've never even thought about, like vocal stress, and the work, the toll that it takes on your body to do that kind of work.
Yeah. I was listening to an interview with just a relatively lesser known voice actor. I don't even remember his name. I think it was on Kind of Funny, and he'd said that like they'll bring you in. They're like, well, we need we need like ambient sounds for the character for like when he falls or when he jumps or when he's hurt or when he's strained, and it's like 3 hours of him like groaning and screaming and tearing apart his vocal cords, and like they didn't even have water for him. Like they had no conditions whatsoever. They're like, we don't have to give you anything. Like, we're paying you. Like, come prepared.
Wow.
And then he would leave, and then the next day he would have another job for someone else where they expect him to come in and have his voice ready to go in like top shape. So he was like, it's not an easy thing to do. So I was like, I never really thought of it that way.
So they're also trying to give more transparency about the games that they're working on. It says they had hoped that game makers would agree to disclose the actual name of a project and specific role they were hired for, but they don't go quite that far. They've decided that they'll give a code name to try and increase transparency in general. That way they have better bargaining power, I would assume, with like future and other deals.
Yeah, because if you don't know, like, you're going to be the voice of Batman in the new Arkham series, then you don't know how much you should be asking for.
Exactly. So it sounds like a gray area, a lot of gray areas, but they're trying to work through it, so it's good to hear.
It is really nice to hear. Like, compromise is always a good thing.
Yeah, very good that it's coming to an end.
Because for AAA titles sometimes, I'll let you had something on the tip of your tongue.
No, I'm just trying to remember what that project was, but I was so sad because I love Ashley Birch. She's so good, and she's in so many things, and I've never realized that. So, like, Troy Baker taking a year off of games would be devastating. Like, people don't even realize all the shit that guy is in.
Yeah.
Just look up his credits on IMDb and it'll blow your
insane.
fucking mind.
Like, every game.
So I'm going to try my transition here again, but I don't know if it'll be natural. But yeah, AAA developer. Anyways, Red Dead Redemption 2 got a trailer released this Thursday, and it was actually really fucking cool. It doesn't look like it's going to be following John Marsden, although it might be possible that he's going to be a character in it. There wasn't a whole lot of details on whether or not the game is a prequel, a sequel, or where it takes place on the timeline. What we do know is that you finally get a bow and arrow, which a bunch of people complained about for a really long time in Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah, because that blew my mind.
And I was just like, I guess that's an important thing to some people, but the game looks absolutely fucking gorgeous. I am super excited to play it, and this was the game that got my father back into gaming. I decided that I wanted to write my book and graduate college, and I couldn't do that if I was still playing video games, so I canceled my World of Warcraft subscription, and I gave my Xbox 360 away back in the day, and I gave it to my father, and I gave him Red Dead Redemption, and he bought a guide for it and 100% completed the fucking game. So I'm totally gonna buy this game for him, and who knows? Maybe if he wants to, I will stream some Let's Plays of me and my dad playing Red Dead 2.
That would be entertaining as fuck.
He's hilarious because like he is a judgment zone. So I'll like go there. I'm like, Dad, it's a video game. It's okay. And he's like, you just hogtied a nun to fucking railroad tracks. I'm like, I know, right? It's amazing. And I swear to God, it's a true story. And then she got hit by the train, and I got a fucking achievement for it. And I'm like, see, he's like, what's that? I'm like, achievements are things that you can do in a video game that will give you like basically like points to show that you played the game. So that's why he wanted to 100% complete it. And I got to teach him like, there's some sick fuck it Rockstar who thinks putting a nun on railroad tracks is as funny as I do, and I didn't even know that was an achievement I could get.
I want to know what the name of that achievement was.
I will literally look that up the next time
I'll
you're
look it up
talking.
right now.
Okay.
So
I find that super interesting, but I'm wondering if this is going to be the year of like the bow and arrow. You remember a couple of years ago where it was
do.
like every fucking game
Bow
had
and arrow.
crossbows?
Yep.
Yeah.
They did that
God.
bow and arrow thing too for Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
And what else was there? They had it for everything.
There was some other game, but it was like bow and arrows were just the thing. Every game had a protagonist.
Captain
that had-
Redbeard even talked about it on GameStop TV way back
Yeah.
in the day.
God, I forgot about that guy.
Yeah, that's fucking so funny. I think you might be right. It's going to make a comeback now that Hunger Games
Assassin's
is
Creed.
gone.
It's not really bow and arrow, but an arrow.
That's a good point. A
Red
guided
Dead.
arrow.
Yeah, I'm just gonna whistle
Holy shit!
like Yondu
That
every
would be
time.
cool.
Yeah.
So
It's like a third Yondu
I need
too.
to talk about 2 achievements real quick.
2 achievements.
I found the hogtied one. So place a hogtied woman on
Oh,
the
it's just
train
a woman,
tracks
not
and
a
witness
nun.
her death
Okay, so
by
I'm
a train.
way more depraved.
And
than
it's
they
called
intended.
Dastardly.
Ah,
But here's what's better.
dastardly.
Kill and skin 18 grizzly bears, and they called the achievement barely legal.
Wow. That's good.
That
That
reminds.
is amazing.
I played a game on Ouya. Anyone remember that thing?
Ouya.
Oh my goodness.
Ooh,
I played a
yeah.
game on Ouya that was about like a world where bears were like the humans, and you played as a lumberjack. And at one point, I was in front of a strip club, and it just had like pole dancing bears on the outside, and it was called Bear Bears.
Wow. Bears.
Yeah, that's what that just
I'm
reminded me
going to
of.
need your Ouya and some time alone.
Send
So,
that.
the last piece of additional news that I have, I kind of just tossed this in here because I was really impressed with it. It's a really good write-up. I did say that there's certain reviewers that I respect at certain locations. IGN has someone named Scott Calora. He writes really good reviews. He wrote a review for Blade Runner 2049. I have seen the original Blade Runner in bits and pieces. I've studied it in like film lit in college and in high school.
Is that like I'm assuming like a skiing.
Blade Runner? Yeah, you nailed it. It's
Yeah.
one of Ridley Scott's, I think it's his
Blades of
second
Glory?
movie ever, and it's widely regarded as the greatest sci-fi film of all time. Interestingly enough, his next movie was Alien, which in certain circles is regarded as the greatest horror film of all time. So he really started off his career with a bang. But making sequels to things from the 80s that don't need sequels is kind of frustrating. Blade Runner did have source material, but it's something where no one kind of really wanted the movie, and then people kind of got excited. It's Ryan Gosling, Harrison Ford is back, Jared Leto's the blind bad guy, who's a douchebag in real life, but whatever. But they gave the movie on IGN, which usually rates very harshly, a 9.7 out of 10.
Damn.
They said Blade Runner 2049 is a sequel that never should have been made, but it's defied all odds and is the greatest sequel of all time.
Damn.
So if you guys are fans of Blade Runner and you are on the fence about this, I would say see it. Read the guy's review if you don't like how he details out how the movie unfolds, because it is spoiler free. Go and find yourself another reviewer. But I think it is incredibly interesting that they finally pulled an old franchise, made a sequel to it that was like critically acclaimed, and not just kind of like, okay, if we got a good Star Wars movie, everyone's going to say they loved Episode 7. And even though it made the most money fucking ever, people are still like, it's like the same thing as every other Star Wars movie I've ever seen. And, you know, it's nice to see there's something out there to go see besides it, basically, and Wonder Woman this year. So check out Blade Runner 2049. It was a really good write-up. Go to IGN and check out the review.
Wait. Blade Runner's not the skiing one. That's the one where the guy's like, you shouldn't have done that. He's just a boy.
What? I don't even know what movie you're talking about now.
What?
Sling Blade.
Oh, okay.
You ruined my joke. You were supposed to be like, what, Sling Blade?
I did not realize. I'm sorry. I've never seen Sling Blade.
Are you serious?
Yeah. I don't like
As long as you know that quote, that's all you need.
Who was Sling Blade? Was that Billy Bob?
Yep.
Okay. I hate Billy Bob Thornton.
Sling Blade and Bad Santa. Guy's got a great resume. That's all I gotta say.
And he banged Angelina Jolie when she was really young. And, yeah, that's about it. That's all he's ever been famous for.
Yeah.
I think. Maybe more. I don't know.
All right.
He was fat in the original. And he was fat, angry dude in Tombstone. If any of you have ever seen that movie. He's the guy who's the poker dealer that Wyatt Earp shoves out of the fucking bar as soon as he arrives into Tombstone.
Wasn't he also in that movie about like air traffic controllers?
Pushing Tin. I didn't
There
bring
you
that up
go.
because it's not a good movie. However,
Oh,
I
is
really
it
like
not?
that movie.
I just remember like
That's where he met Angelina
scenes
Jolie.
of that movie.
Yeah, I remember in particular when John Cusack's on a plane and it's being flown through a storm and it's being controlled by Billy Bob Thornton's character. And he's like, the man in control of this plane is trying to kill me. And the stewardess is like, why would the captain want to kill you? He's like, you think the captain's in control of this plane? That's cute. So they fucking arrest him.
Yeah, I feel bad for air traffic controllers because they had that one movie.
That's
Other
it.
than that, it's a gloryless job.
It is the
And-
consistently the most stressful job in the world.
Yeah.
On the rating. Court reporting, ironically, is number 2. I used to read
it's
that list
gotta
because
be.
my mother used to be a court reporter.
It reminds me of that. Sorry, this is like a huge long tangent that's going nowhere. It reminds.
Oh, here we go.
It
again.
reminds me of that Louis C.K. the thing that he does one about like
Yeah, that's such a good joke.
the air traffic control, like when they're in a storm and they like took off and they shouldn't have, and then they're going to land, and the air traffic controllers are like, "You're not clear to land," and
Yeah.
the guy's like, "We're running out of gas. We
We
have
have
to land."
no fuel. We need to land. Yeah, just go on YouTube and look up Louis C.K. airplane death or something like that. And those combination of words should get you like one of the
Pretty
funniest
close.
jokes I've ever fucking heard in my life.
Anywho,
And he does claim, he will tell you when he's lying in his jokes, and he does claim that that joke is 100% true.
yeah.
So that's fucking
I
hilarious.
just love later when he's like, when they're like, "Yeah, we saw you guys coming down," and we are like, "They're not going to make
They're
it."
going to die. That's so fucking good. Right on. So there you go, guys. Joke that probably none of you have heard, and we talked about it for 2 minutes. Powering ahead into our main topic, we are going to be talking about boss battles this show. I'm super excited. I know Charlie's dreading it. She
I'm gonna
doesn't
go
even
take
care.
a nap.
Charlie's just gonna sit this one out.
I'm gonna just make up a bunch of shit.
That'd be really funny.
Be
Just
like-
make up video games that don't exist.
Remember when I fought Harry Potter, or no, when I fought Voldemort in the Chamber of Secrets?
That was crazy. You had to fight that basilisk too. It was so
Yeah.
difficult. So first and foremost, let's read some of your guys' favorite boss battles. As posted on Facebook, Ben from Las Vegas did say Dark Souls 2, the tutorial, which makes me laugh.
Oh wow!
Because in the tutorial, you die. Like, it teaches you, like, this is how you play the
Yeah.
game, and also, you're gonna fucking die a bunch, and you cannot beat that
You get an
guy.
achievement for dying at the beginning of that game.
It's so good. Zach from Las Vegas as well says, okay, I'm gonna get roasted by our Destiny fans, but Atheon in Vault of Glass in Destiny, the first few times he was extremely difficult. Scott also
That
from
was-
Las Vegas says Red Mage Mott in Final Fantasy VI, MAAT. I'm not sure if I said that right. And Mike from I don't know where said Psycho Mantis in Metal Gear Solid. He could read your mind. I don't know if any of you guys remember Psycho Mantis, but I'm pretty sure he was the boss of Metal Gear Solid that would read your save files on your memory card from your other video games, and then he would be
God.
like, "Oh, so you're a fan of Symphony of the Night, huh?" And he'd say like weird shit, and you'd be like, "Whoa, what the fuck is this guy doing right now? Like, is he talking about me?" And it was this really creepy, like meta, like fourth wall breaking boss. So
Jeez.
those ones are really good. Great job, guys. Very, very much a fan
and
of
then
the
Those
we
are
did get
awesome.
a bunch of answers from Discord too.
We did indeed. We're gonna bring those up right now.
Okay, so Dave from Vegas said Cyborg Justice Final Boss. And I was like, what is this? I have never heard of this before. But apparently he is a big alien in a glass that shoots missiles and lasers and force fields and fucks you.
And fucks you. Is that exactly what it
That's
says?
not exactly what he says, but that's my
Glad that you paraphrased for him and nailed it.
And then Wade, our friend Wade, says Lavos from
Chrono Trigger. Absolutely. He's totally fucking right about that.
So that's kind of cool.
He actually expanded on how Lavos' boss fight went, didn't he?
No, that was the Earthbound fight, I thought.
He said something about Lavos splitting into 3 forms, and the one that you think is going to be the main boss isn't the main boss. How like bosses always have hangers on, or is that Earthbound?
No, yeah, that is Lavos from Chrono Trigger.
Yeah, I'm not crazy. He splits. It's like how you have a boss and then like 2 like sidekicks, and like it turns out that the guy that you think is like the boss on the screen turns out it is not him. He's one of like the sidekick type looking sprites.
But he did also bring up Earthbound's final boss.
Okay, right on. So I'm not crazy.
Yeah, you're not crazy.
Neither of you guys are crazy.
All right.
I can confirm.
Yay!
Thank you for everybody who took the time out of their day to help us out and
Yes.
tell us your final boss stories.
Yeah, if you want to jump into our Discord as well, lots of the people that we're talking about their favorite final bosses showed up with pictures and videos to let you guys know what these things are like. So it's been pretty good conversation for the past week. So fun stuff.
Yay.
So this doesn't just have to be hardest bosses, but favorite bosses too. So who wants to go first? I don't mind going first to get it started if you guys want.
Yeah.
You can
Sure.
go.
Volunteered yourself.
I
for
did
it.
volunteer myself because this was my idea for a topic. But I really fucking wish that there was someone who listened to this fucking podcast who also played Dreamcast besides myself, or anyone who played Skies of
I played
Arcadia.
Dreamcast.
Did you play Skies of Arcadia?
No, I played Crazy Taxi.
Oh,
Me too.
this is
Yeah, high
Time to make
five.
some crazy money.
I hate you guys. Skies of Arcadia did get a re-release for GameCube, so some people played it there as well. But the final boss in Skies of Arcadia, there's like, it's one of those things that ends a million times. So like the person who's the big bad in it has a ship because everything is ship combat in that game as well. He has a ship called the Hydra, and it's not exactly powerful enough to one-shot you, but if it hits you twice consecutively without you healing your ship, you will die.
You're dead.
It's one of those things where it's a boss that's not extremely difficult, but it has way too much hit points. Like they didn't balance it correctly. It is a 2-hour boss battle, and if you fuck up your healing cycle one time, you will die, and you'll have to start all over.
Oh, God.
I've played this game through 3 times, and one of those times I died, and I had to do it again, and I almost destroyed my fucking controller. Once you destroy the Hydra, it's still floating, and you have to board it and go fight him. So all the damage you did to it, you have to navigate your way through. When you finally get to him, it's about an hour-long boss fight, and it's extremely fucking difficult. There's a spell in Skies of Arcadia where they can one-shot kill you, and it's a 100% hit every fucking time. And he has it. They gave it to one of the final bosses of the game. So if you see him casting it, you're like, holy fuck, who in my party is about to die? So you have to spend so much time like with one character every round dedicated to resurrecting someone, basically. And then it's just like, it's so long and in-depth, and you think, okay, thank God I'm done. And then his like second in command, who you think you're there to like kind of save, goes insane. And it's like, I can't believe you killed him. And then he's also hard, not insanely hard, normal boss battle. And then this giant monster shows up at the end. You fight it with your ship, and you're like, how many fucking times is this game going to end? And then the guy's second in command somehow merges with the giant monster like Akira and drops on the deck of your ship.
Shakira?
Shakira.
Shakira.
He drops down and casts Hips Don't Lie. And you're
Oh
like,
my
what the
God.
fuck? And he is literally the final boss of the game, and everyone I know who has played this game quit this game because they could not beat him. Except for me. Just want to say that. I'm fucking awesome. But he was extremely fucking difficult. He could kill multiple people on your teams with one shot. And it was just insane.
Sounds awful.
You literally had to have 2 of your people dedicated to a magical shield that lasted 1 turn that couldn't be disrupted, and a physical shield that couldn't be disrupted, and then have the other 2 charge focus, because you can do group attacks, charge it all the way to the top, use your ultimate attack, and rinse and repeat that for like 3 hours just to beat the fucking game. So it was extremely fucking
Wow.
Got
difficult.
your money's worth, though.
Yeah, that was a very long RPG, and that end was just so painful to get through. Do you have a look on your face like you're about
What
to
you
say
got
No,
something?
there?
it's just the whole quitting a game because of the final boss. I've done that before.
What game?
Dark Cloud on PS2.
The
Wow.
Zelda ripoff. Wow, what was the boss like?
Unfinished
It's
business.
like you're a tiny little person in this gigantic. You're this tiny person in this gigantic cave / dungeon thing, and it's a giant like bat winged like demon dude, and he's huge, and like one hit can destroy you type thing. Like it's horrible, and no matter how hard I tried, I could not beat him. It was awful, so I quit. And
So
I
you
didn't
quit.
finish the game. I have not finished the game. Sorry, like no.
I think as time goes on, bosses get easier and easier. Like I was saying, as far
oh,
as
yeah.
as far as Shadow of Mordor went, it's clear they were trying to tell a story and they didn't want to keep anyone from getting to the end of the game. But I was very disappointed with it. As far as my favorite bosses, that was definitely the hardest boss I've ever fought, is the end boss of Skies of Arcadia. But my favorite boss, there's two of them actually. There's Majora from Majora's Mask, because he has multiple different forms. It's just a really fun playthrough. If you don't use the Fierce Deity Link, it's actually a very difficult fight too as well. But I think my favorite boss on top of that would be Mike Tyson and Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. Because he's exactly what I want a final boss to be like. This guy seems fucking impossible. But everyone heard of someone who beat Mike Tyson. So watching it happen was like, it is possible. It's extremely fucking difficult. And that person's like a goddamn hero for doing it. And then like 30 years later, they discover like, we actually put a clue in the game. There's someone in the crowd who stands up. And as soon as he stands up, if you hit him, like you can get a star off of him.
Wow.
And it makes the fight like totally less difficult. No one noticed until one of the original developers like, you guys are unobservant fucking morons. This was in here the whole goddamn time.
Wow.
So I love Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, the original, and I just thought that was super interesting. I'm like, that's kind of what I've always thought a boss battle should be, where it's like, I can almost fucking beat this guy every single time, and I might need to call someone to help me with it, but I don't know. I want boss battles to be difficult, so that's just me.
Yeah, I feel like boss battles are not as big of a thing in games anymore.
No, it's kind of more of a storytelling medium, and for games that don't really tell a significant story that are about gameplay, like Cuphead, for instance, where it's like, this is about the art style, like this is about the gameplay experience, like everything is super fucking hard. And I'm glad the games are kind of getting back to that. And I think the success of Dark Souls kind of showed, like, people want games to be hard. They want to struggle through something. They want to have the, I died here last time, I'm not going to have it happen again, and like the slow progression of going through it. So I don't know. Robin, you seem like super engaged in this topic. What is your favorite boss or hardest boss you've ever fought?
Sephiroth from Kingdom Hearts.
I had a feeling you were going to say Sephiroth.
Dude.
Oh my god, that was
Yeah,
mine.
dude, it was hard, okay? And my sister and
That
I,
is a
we took the
ridiculous
entire...
fight.
So it took us 2 days. It took us 2 days to beat it, and we didn't turn off our PlayStation. Like, we left it on, like, switched back and forth because our hands would start to hurt so bad trying to defeat this dude. And it was just like, you'd try by yourself for 3 minutes, and then I'd run to my sister and be like, dude, it's your turn. You need to try and beat this guy.
It's like a
And
full-time
so-
job.
Yeah, and so we just kept going back and forth to try and defeat him, and it was horrible and painful, and he was so hard. It's like you got him, to like half health or something, and then he changed the way he fought, and so you're like having to constantly change how you fight, and it was just, ugh. It's horrible.
It's good to know. Do you have any boss battles you actually really enjoyed?
That's my favorite.
That's your favorite? The one that was horrible?
Yeah, and we beat it. It was so satisfying.
That's why I like difficult bosses, because when you finally surmount it, it's like, I just beat that fuck. Like, I can tell people
when
I beat
my
that guy.
I didn't beat him. My sister beat him.
So we should be talking to Liz right now, then. We'll
Yeah.
talk to her on the next Comic-Con episode next year and say who really beat Sephiroth.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah,
Right on.
She beat him. I didn't beat him. It was
Well,
so
since you
hard.
stole CJ's, I'm going to skip to Charlie now. Charlie, favorite or most difficult boss battle of your life?
I really couldn't think of one that was terribly difficult. I think my favorite one was probably Handsome Jack at the end of Borderlands 2 because
Nice.
I just enjoyed that game a lot. And by the end of the game, you really have a lot of reasons to hate him. And at the end, he takes off his mask and you get to see his fucked up face. That was kind of cool and crazy.
You know what's really funny is that they don't give them nearly enough credit because the writers and the artists from the new Batman comics completely fucking ripped off the cut-off face stapled back on for the
Really?
new iteration of the Joker, and that's how he
Wow.
looks. And they stole that in the Gotham TV series after that from the source material of the comic books, which stole it from Borderlands 2.
Oh man, side note,
Yep.
Killing Joke is on HBO.
Yeah, I did see
I was
that.
like, I want to watch it.
And I'm pretty sure that one's voiced by Mark Hamill.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
so good.
I really want to watch it. Anyways, other than that, I'm trying to think of other boss battles. I haven't gotten to the very end of Overcooked, but I love the boss from
Oh my God, the
Overcooked.
giant meatball that destroys the world.
Yeah,
with the
like
spaghetti arms.
when
Yeah.
in the beginning when you're making him salads.
Yeah, and throwing them in his mouth like, here you go, asshole. Like, don't kill everyone.
So I think that'll be cool. I'm sure Cuphead will be like ridiculous. I can only
Yeah.
imagine. Like I could put the first level as my boss battle. But yeah, those are the main ones that come to mind.
Right on. CJ, did you think of any since Robin stole yours?
Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of use like my favorite boss battle as one of my hardest because still was pretty hard. But the Sephiroth one took me about 3 days, and I was doing it by myself.
sorry.
Funny
You get to
story
tag
from
someone
that
else
one.
in.
Just to give a story, I had finally, because he's kind of a secret boss. Like, you think the game's over, and then you get to this boss fight, and it happened at about. I found it at about, like, I think it was like really late at night, and my mom had come in and told me, like, okay, you're done playing. She like turned off my TV. I had to go to sleep, and I waited for about 30 minutes. I shut my door, put something in front of it to where I could still see a little bit of light, so that way I would see if anyone blocked it. And I stayed up till like, oh man, it was like 2 or 3 in the morning, and my dad came in and like ripped the PlayStation
Oh my
Wow.
what am I off the dresser because he was so mad that I was awake. It was hilarious. I mean, I was scared to death when I was a kid, but when I think back to
Right.
it, so. But yeah, that was one of the hardest fights. It took me forever to get that one down. Plus, I had to wait a little bit because I didn't get my PlayStation back for a while. But probably my favorite boss fight, and it was really just because of how much I played the game, was the fight against Trainer Red and Pokemon Crystal at the very end. Because I had followed Pokemon so closely, like watching the cartoons when I was a kid and stuff. So as soon as you see Red and he throws out that Pikachu, you're like, oh my god, that's Ash. And that fight was so hard because that Pikachu would just one-shot anybody you threw out there. Like, you just have to get lucky. Like, all right, maybe this fight he'll use Thunder Wave first and I'll have a chance to kill Pikachu. And then, yeah, it was like a coin toss every time you started the fight.
So, okay, here's my question about that. I have not seen a ton of the anime. I was extremely sick at one point. I was living in Arizona. Robin came down to care for me. And during my fever dreams, I would wake up and see that Pokemon the anime was playing, and that's about my entire exposure to it. That said, I remember watching Ash get his ass kicked constantly in the anime and lose a ton of fucking battles. So I think it's funny that he's the ultimate boss in Pokemon Crystal who's super hard. And I'm like, everything I've seen of that guy, he sucks. He's a terrible trainer. He knows nothing about Pokemon types. He always fucking loses. So that's kind of bizarre to me.
I think, like, I don't know. It's funny when I think about bosses from games. At some point, I'll always think about Bowser, but Bowser is like the worst boss ever.
Yeah.
He is the
Like,
worst guy.
3 hits on the head, and he's down. He's
I
like,
put this axe
"Alright."
behind me that I don't wield, but if you step on it, I die. No big deal.
I also really enjoyed the boss for Injustice 2, Brainiac.
Yeah.
Just because I thought the shit that he says to you is super fucked up. And it did take us a few tries. I mean, it
He
wasn't
taunted the
crazy
shit out
hard,
of us.
but I liked it.
It left my brain because the boss at the end of Tekken is fucking bullshit.
Oh my
Really?
god.
He just goes invulnerable in certain stages where it's like he's invulnerable and unblockable and you can't dodge any of his shit. So you're like, so I have to try and not die now. This isn't fun.
I was trying to look up like lists of hard bosses, and they all seem to vary quite a bit. There's a lot of mentions of like Bloodborne and Dark Souls, and there's some Earthbound mentions. There's Dracula from Castlevania.
Which one?
It said like the series. It was like the whole series.
Because they always make him insanely hard.
A lot of the Metal Gear villains are in here, which I haven't played like any Metal Gear
I haven't
Gear
played any
games.
Metal Gear either.
So Mike
some of
was
the
totally right on that one.
Mike Tyson is in here a lot.
Yep. So hard.
Some of the Resident
Woo.
Evil bosses. Yeah, that's like pretty common among everything. Red is on one of these lists.
Did anybody put the elevator boss
I don't
The
know what
elevator
that is.
boss? What is that?
from Wrath of the Lich King?
Someone
Oh,
had
where it would just
one-
glitch you through the floor and you would never make it up?
Where where like it took Blizzard like 2 weeks to fix it, so like you'd ride that elevator up to Sindragosa and be like, well, this is where we all die, and your whole raid would fall through almost to the top, and you'd just be like, well, guys, we're gonna fall for the next 30 seconds, and then we're gonna res, and we're gonna try this
Yeah,
again.
there was a lot of bosses in World of Warcraft that weren't intended, like the trying to get from one continent to the other on the ship when the game first released, because you'd have like 1,000 people standing on the ship, and when it would get to the point where it's supposed to teleport you to the other side, the boat would fucking disappear and you'd be left in the middle of the goddamn ocean. And so you could only resurrect at the graveyard and take like a bunch of damage to your gear. It's such a pain in the ass.
A lot of people are talking
Yeah.
about. I'm assuming I'm saying this right. Cthulhu from World of Warcraft.
He was literally impossible.
Before it got changed.
They let him out, and the top guild in
Cthulhu?
the world. He's one of the old gods. He was in Vanilla WoW. He's one of the final bosses. And they literally told Blizzard, like, you have made something that cannot be beaten. And then they nerfed him, and they nerfed him so hard, everyone beat him after that, so then they had to ratchet his difficulty back up.
One of these lists says Giant HR Gigerhead from Echo the Dolphin.
What?
Right?
Like, damn, those Echo the Dolphin battles.
Right. Those fans, hardcore.
Anyways.
Yeah, I fucking love the concept of boss battles. I really liked Prince of Persia, even when they tried to take out boss battles from their game and say, like, this is more a game about exploration. For the first time they had made it in the 3D universe for Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. But when the second and third ones released, of course, they had put boss battles back into the game because it's just a convention that everyone enjoys. And it's just this cathartic feeling of, like, completing something and having a penultimate battle where you get to use all the skills that you've developed throughout the game. And I gotta say, like, I really liked how Breath of the Wild handled their ultimate boss in this one for Legend of Zelda, because you can choose to make that fight more difficult. Like, if you want to go and get the Divine Beast, you can have 4 Divine Beasts, which dramatically cuts down the health of Ganon when you finally face him at the end of the game.
Yeah.
But if you decide not to, he has full health, and there's no help whatsoever, and he has these different patterns to his combat, and it's extremely difficult to figure out, and as his health gets lower and lower, he changes his tactics, and it's an extremely enjoyable fight. Of course, there's multiple stages to him, because there's multiple stages to every final boss now, and one of them is way too easy. But realistically, like, that whole battle, the way you can set it up where it's like, you know what, I'm going straight to fucking Ganon. Like, it's, like, up to you how difficult that fight is, and I really enjoy that.
There were a few on here that I forgot about, too, like some of the God of War ones, like Zeus. God of War has some pretty good boss battles. Fontaine from BioShock.
I've never played BioShock.
You probably should.
Yeah, I hear that about a lot of stuff that I haven't played.
I want that to be free with Xbox.
BioShock.
Gold. Like,
Or you could just go and buy it for like $10.
It's true.
You can buy literally the BioShock collection for like $35.
Head to your local GameStop. It's buy 2 get 1 free. By the time you listen, by the time you listen to this, it won't be anymore. But it currently is, and it will be tomorrow. So
at least Robin can still go
to GameStop.
This is true. So we'll give you guys an update on whether or not she bought BioShock.
I won't.
She won't. We all know it.
Spoiler alert.
I don't have time.
Right on. I think we nailed the topic. Really appreciate the audience participation in this one. You guys are great.
Yeah.
Let us know if you thought of any while you're listening to this. If you want to be like, that boss was easy, you're a bitch. Because I was reading up on the names for the Skies of Arcadia bosses, then I'm like, why am I checking these? No one cares. And in the Wikipedia I was in, they were talking about one of the bosses I thought was really hard. They're like, oh, it's a pretty standard boss for the end of an RPG. I was like, horse shit it was. Like, go fuck yourself. I was super offended by it. But
3-hour boss
all right,
fight.
if you guys want to kick us any comments or let us know things that you'd like to see on the show, please feel free to do so. You can email us at nerdchills@nerdchills.net. You can email myself at Maylum, MAYLUM @nerdchills.net. You can also tweet at me at @TheAdamDiaz. You can tweet at the show at nerd_chills. Also, don't forget to share the episode with a friend. We really appreciate that. We see an increase in views on the Facebook page and traffic on the website and traffic through our podcast, and it's really exciting to see. If you guys like listening to the show, then let someone else know that they might like listening to it too. So we really appreciate that. And then we've gotten, I think, 11 reviews now on iTunes and other podcasting sites.
Wow.
We really appreciate when you guys go do that out of the kindness of your hearts, because like sometimes we'll ask people like, hey, can you download this episode? You might like it. All those reviews are unsolicited, and we really appreciate the feedback. And the more reviews we get, the easier it is for other people to discover the podcast on iTunes. So go ahead and do that. We really, really appreciate it. We really appreciate you guys. So don't forget, if you want to kick us any of your cash, your hard-earned monies, you can go on Patreon. We are on there at Nerd Chills. If you donate $3 a month, you do get early access to every episode, about 24 hours early access. So we would really appreciate that. And so as far as the Facebook group that we do get a lot of feedback on, that's Facebook page. It's facebook.com/nerdchillspodcast.
Do you want to start a group? I feel like you should.
I've never seen a page before. I didn't realize that we were a page instead of a group.
You have to have a page, and then you make a group off of the page.
So why haven't we made the group yet? Oh my god.
That's why Robin does social media.
Right. Exactly. I think that's all the plugs. We got Facebook, we got the Twitters. We have a Discord. If you guys want to go ahead and access that, go to the website or ask us, and we'll go ahead and give you a link to it. But
download it on your phone.
Just all Discord that fun stuff, guys. So we really appreciate you. CJ, if the fine folks wanted to find you, where can they do so?
Twitter is at Sacred Infinity. Feel free to tweet at me with any questions or suggestions for the show. I'm paying a lot more attention to it. I'm actually pretty proud of myself.
Good.
So it's a step in the right direction for me. I need to try to focus more on it. So everyone tweet me cool stuff and I will reply to the best of my abilities. I'm also going to be streaming some Player Unknowns on Twitch here in a couple days once I get my OBS set back up. So you can watch me really suck at that game and get killed and possibly break my headset because I thought I almost broke it last night because I was really mad. Yeah, that's where you can find me.
Charlie, if the fine folks wanted to find you, where can they do so?
I can be emailed at charlie at nerdchills.net. And then I can also be found on Twitter. And that's Charlie with an EY _NC as in Nerdchills.
Cool. And Robin, if the fine folks wanted to find you, where do they go?
I'm so sorry. Okay.
They accidentally touched each other, just so you guys know.
Accidentally.
Fancy.
Any social media, really, for the most part, at the Robin Grace.
Right on.
And my Etsy shop is Robin's Kawaii Corner robinskawaiicorner.etsy.com.
Awesome. Yeah. I know you had a fuck ton of orders this past week.
I know, dude.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I had to go to the post office
You're
like 3
blowing
times.
up.
Yeah, they had orders on
It's
some
more
specific
popular
stuff
than
that they made.
Nerdchills.
Right? Stop
It's going to
it.
be too good for us
What's
soon.
really nice is when people order stuff off her site that's not affiliated with us, she sends them a free button for our podcast.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
so smart.
Yeah, she's a smart one, this one.
Dang.
Yes.
Genius.
So that's everything we got for you guys. And since Robin was so kind to abandon us last week, we're going to have her do the sign out. So go ahead and take it away.
Take a chill pill, guys, and we'll see you next week. We won't see you, but you'll hear us next week.
We'll hear you
You'll
next
hear
week.
us next week. Yo, flow down!